Hello everyone, I'm Autobot Sonic the Telltale Gamer, bringing latest and Telltale games, Transformers, and more, and welcome back to another EarthSpark review. This time we're going to be covering Season 1, Episode 3 of Transformers EarthSpark, Moving In. And the emphasis on the moo is very apparent based on the nature of this episode. So even though this episode is called Moving In, I really like to think of this as sort of a part 3 of the pilot. While it's still a standalone story from the other two episodes, it does really feel like that this sets the status quo for the series going forward, really establishes Bumblebee as a mentor figure for Twitch and Thrash, as well as Robbie and Mo, and also just really establishes their whole mentor and student bond, and really, in my mind, it sets up just Bumblebee's character in a perfect way compared to how the first two episodes set up mostly Twitch and Thrash and Robbie and Mo. This episode really focuses on Bumblebee as the star of this episode, which I really enjoyed. However, it isn't without its faults, which I'm going to get into in this review. So if you're excited as I am to cover this, be sure to like, comment, and of course subscribe. Let's go ahead and jump right into the review. Now, Episode 3, Moving In, starts off with Bumblebee racing through Witwicky, Pennsylvania to get to the Malto homestead, and it's at this point where I want to talk more about the musical motifs of EarthSpark. Just like I said back in my review of Secret Legacy Part 2, mostly every character, I should say, in EarthSpark has their own unique musical motif as long as main characters are talked about. Like, for example, as I mentioned at my Episode 2 review, the Terrans and Robbie and Mo theme is sort of this very mystical, almost ethereal sounding music that sounds something very out of Minecraft. You have Optimus and Alita have this very triumphant synth horn that sounds very Justice-like and all that. And then of course Megatron has the very heavy funk music, which is it sounds just basically emanates strength and power, and just really lets you know just how much of a threat Megatron can be, and I really love that. Now with Bumblebee on the other hand, which plays while he's racing through Witwicky to get to the Malto homestead, Bumblebee's theme is actually more so this really long, awesome guitar riff that goes really fast and really fits Bumblebee's character and makes you feel really full of like high octane excitement the whole time when Bumblebee's theme is playing. Like, it really exudes that this is a guy who thinks he's hot stuff. He thinks he's the absolute best at his thing, which really fits EarthSpark's Bumblebee's character in the sense that he truly thinks that he is one of the best Autobots there is, and that he should be respected for it, which kind of in my mind puts him very similarly to animated Bumblebee, who kind of felt the same way to that. But also, it's animated Bumblebee put into a leadership-like role very similar to, let's say, RID-15 Bumblebee, who was a lot more mature and hardened by his experiences in Transformers Prime beforehand to become this more Optimus-like figure. And while EarthSpark Bumblebee does mature throughout a lot of this episode, the start of Bumblebee's journey in this episode really puts him at like that animated level Bumblebee level, but thrust into RID-15 Bumblebee's responsibilities, and I really like that. Bee's theme, in my opinion, just sounds, it really fits his character so well. It honestly reminds me a lot of something you'd hear in like a Sonic game, like old school Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Heroes, like era games for Sonic. It just sounds so much like that, and I love Bee's theme. Definitely my second favorite theme alongside Megatron's. So good. But anyway, after that, Bumblebee arrives back to the Malto homestead, but can't find Twitch, Thrash, Robbie, or Mo. So he goes to find Dot and Alex, who tell him that they're all out in the more farm area of the homestead with Twitch and Thrash just playing around with a bunch of cows there. So while they're out there, Bee gets over to them to try and get them to start their first lesson, which is to basically teach them how to transform. And now, while we've seen Twitch and Thrash transform once each during the events of Secret Legacy Parts 1 and 2, they have trouble learning how to transform in this episode. They can't find themselves able to transform, which Bee explains that essentially since all Transformers can do it, they should be able to as well, and that they're going to just constantly just train on that to make sure that they're going to be able to figure out how to transform. And this starts a series of events where essentially before Twitch and Thrash don't really want to go ahead and get taught right now because they're going to be going doing family game night with Robbie, Mo, and their parents. So while they go off to do that, Bee's just struggling to figure out how he can get the Terrans as well as Robbie Mo to like respect him as a teacher, and so he ends up trying to call Optimus several times throughout the course of this episode, each to them not so good results, but they are funny in their own regard. So first off, he tries calling Optimus after this event, only to have Megatron pick up, of all people, who's currently, as we see, in the process of currently actually working on, like, doing a, like, training exercise at a ghost base. So, now with now talking to Megatron, Bumblebee asks Megatron what it's like, how he gets people to respect him and listen to him as a leader. And so Megatron, while doing, like, a really cool job of showing his, like, strength and power as, like, the leader of the Decepticons by going through this training course almost effortlessly, states that back during his time as leader of Decepticons, he commanded his soldiers by showing how powerful he was and being a threatening force on the battlefield. So Bumblebee takes this basically as a way to show the Terran just how strong he is by doing this. I think he drop kicks a tree or just shoots it and breaks it. However, no one's around for him to see it, much to his disappointment. Though he does actually notice Twitch in the barn, who doesn't know that he's there, training with one of the cows that she and Thrash were playing with earlier on this episode, who she affectionately named Fluffy Ears at the time. So Twitch and Thrush Fluffy Ears are sitting behind this bale of hay, where Twitch is actually training how to figure out how to transform, much to Bumblebee's surprise. And though, while she can't figure out how to do it yet, Bee seems to be impressed by the fact that she's actually trying to learn how to transform, but she just gets frustrated at the fact that she's struggling with it and wishes that Bumblebee would actually make an effort to understand her instead of just forcing training tactics on her and Thrash. So with Megatron's advice not working, Bumblebee tries to call Optimus once more, only this time it's Alita who answers, and she's in a training facility very similar to that of Megatron, but instead of her destroying a bunch of turrets and dodging them like Megatron was, she's actually just in a room with a big ghost, like, truck or car that she's just weightlifting with and doing push-ups and all that. And I really love Alita 1's character in EarthSpark with Sissy Jones' performance of her. She does a great job of making Alita as this really strong and work-focused second in command of the Autobots that I really wish we got to see more of, because actually, unfortunately, out of these 10 episodes, this is the last time we unfortunately see Alita 1 in this episode. And now I'm not going to take any points off this episode but the fact that they Hasbro and Nickelodeon so heavily advertised Alita 1 as a major character this season, but the fact that she's only really relevant in the first 3 episodes of the season and then she doesn't appear at all in episodes 4 through 10, that's really sucks, because I really love Alita's character. I think Sissy Jones does a great job of her, but just spoiler alert, she doesn't show up again for the remainder of these 10 episodes. Now, I'm sure she may appear again later on this season, maybe in episodes 11 through 26, and I hope so. I want to see more of her, but the fact that she doesn't show up at all in episodes 4 through 10 is really disappointing, and I really hope we get to see more of her because I just love her character so much. But that little rant aside, it is funny that seemingly she and Megatron both seem to have Optimus's number for some reason, or just redirects to them. I don't know if it's like a comm thing, but it just is a bit funny in my opinion. So with Megatron's advice not working, Bumblebee now asks Alita what she would do to get people to listen to her, and she basically instead of saying like what Megatron did to have people understand how strong and powerful you are and like to threaten them into working for you, she instead tries to get Bee to like incentivize Twitch and Thrash to listen to him, like give them stuff that they would like to do and all that. So Bumblebee tries that by going back to the farm where Twitch, Thrash, Robbie, and Mo are all like laying down in the ground in the grass in like a circle together, basically trying to test out their cyber sleep connections in this really cool way, where essentially they try to guess what each other is feeling through through the feelings that they're feeling through their cyber sleeves. And I absolutely love that they're being so creative with their cyber sleeves in this way. But anyway, Bee offers to give the two of them these Bumblebee themed walkie-talkies if they agree to train with Bee, which they are really excited for and actually do agree to, but they still struggle with transforming the process. Now, Bee got these Bee-themed walkie-talkies from Alex earlier on in the episode, where he had talked to him about wanting to try and figure out how to get Twitch and Thrash to listen to him. And Alex, being a huge Bumblebee fan, he sees, like, we see him, he has these boxes of Bumblebee-themed, like, memorabilia in the barn, ranging from like cup holders, mugs, little hats and shirts. He's even got like a Bumblebee themed lunchbox, which he has Bee signed with his stinger, which is hilarious. And so eventually, though, despite this, Bee offers to include himself as part of the Malto family game night, which Robbie and Mo had talked about earlier on in the episode. But that, though, is kind of where we get to the lowest point of this episode and the cons of it, in my opinion. So with the family game night scene, I don't necessarily think it's the weakest part of this episode because just it's cringy or anything like that. I just think the conflict in this part of the episode just is not good, in my opinion. So this scene starts off with B being invited to family game night, where he gets put on a team with Alex and Dot, and then Robbie and Twitch are on one team and Mo and Thrash are on the other one, and they basically just play a bunch of games with each other. There's like charades, discount sorry, and a bunch of other stuff. All the while, B is trying to give like more military-themed advice to Twitch and Thrash and Robbie and Mo the whole time, trying to get them to like play better, but it just ends up causing them to get frustrated and second-guess themselves and makes them really frustrated with B in the process. And this all culminates after a game of charades where essentially Twitch and Thrash blow up at B, telling him to stop like telling him what to do, and that he's ruining game night for them. And then B snaps back at them, saying that they never want to listen to him or train and all, and just play, in his words, all these stupid games. And eventually it goes back and forth between all of them. Eventually Robbie and Mo get in on as well, with them getting angry at B as well, saying that they were doing just fine training on their own. They don't need B forcing his teachings onto them. And eventually it culminates in B basically saying that he doesn't want them just playing around with stupid cows all the time. And Twitch takes great offense to that after he insults Fluffy Ears. And to the point where she just builds up so much energy, she just lets it all in this like angry explosion that blows off the roof of the barn, literally. But she does actually transform in the process and flies out in a fit of rage. But this ends up causing her to lose control even though she transformed, and ends up destroying part of the fence where all the cows on the homestead are all like contained. So they all just start to run amok on the homestead, unbeknownst to Robbie, Thrash, Mo, and the rest of the Maltos. So after that, B just leaves the game night in frustration and goes to try and call Optimus again, where there's this funny scene where it sounds like he actually is talking to Optimus, but it's just Optimus doing this really bad dad joke where it's like one of those fake voicemails. But so this is where I have the problem with this scene. And I know a lot of people are probably gonna have a problem with how B acts, and that he's very immature and all that. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with B being snarky, thinking that, oh, he's this hotshot Autobot that everyone should listen to him because he's that good. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is that it feels like, in my opinion, EarthSpark tries to paint B as being in the right in this argument, when certainly I think anything but that. He's not in the right here. He shouldn't be forcing. Obviously he had several moments throughout this entire episode where Twitch and Thrash just obviously weren't responding well to his usual training methods. And yet, despite the opinions he got from B and from Megatron and Alita, he still goes through saying that, like, oh, I'm like Optimus's favorite scout here. I've done so much good in the war. You should listen to me because I know what I'm talking about. Not everyone gets taught the same way, and it just really frustrates me that it seems like the show is trying to paint him being in the right, that yes, Twitch and Thrash are being unruly here, they should respect B and all that, but no, I don't see that at all. I think Twitch and Thrash are in the right here, in that B should be more understanding of what they do to learn and such like that, and B should accommodate his teachings to do that, and that just really didn't sit well with me, in my opinion. It's no smack against B's character, which I'm sure probably based off this episode alone, some people are gonna have problems with. I don't have a problem with B's character. I have a problem with the fact that the show sort of paints B as being in the right in this scene when he's not, in my opinion. So after he tries to talk to Optimus to no avail, Alex and Doc come in, where B just asks them how they're able to keep track of Robbie and Mo, considering they seem to listen to them, but he can't get Twitch and Thrash to listen to him. And Dodd basically explains that sometimes, though, they just don't listen to him, but that's what kids are all about, and that you just really need to understand what they want, and then just change your own strategies to basically bond with them on a deeper level. And that finally seems to be what snaps B out of it and really gets him into the sense that he can't act like this know-it-all around Twitch and Thrash. He needs to bring himself down, learn a little humility, and really understand what Twitch and Thrash are going for. Hey guys, this is Autobot Sonic from the future here, and in case any of you are wondering, this is something I was going to point out in episode 9 and 10 review, which it plays a major part of, but I'm just going to talk about it right here because I totally didn't notice this until rewatching the episode and going through it frame by frame. In this shot right here that I've been showing on screen of B, Dot, and Alex all talking together, if you look at Dot, you can actually see she has a prosthetic leg. And now, this is a key thing that actually is a big part of Dot's character going forward, and I know I was totally going to talk about this in my episode 9 and 10 review, because it plays a big part of that, and I definitely will continue to do that, but I just thought that was that, I guess I just totally blocked out in my mind that Dot's prosthetic leg was shown earlier on in this season, before episode 9 and 10, but no, Dot's prosthetic leg is first shown right here where we see it. And now, may you be wondering, what does this mean? Why does Dot have a prosthetic leg? Well, just keep that in mind. I just felt, because that's going to be a big part of Dot's character going into episodes 9 and 10 of EarthSpark. But I just want you all to keep that in mind, that Dot does have a prosthetic leg, and I think that's so cool, again, just for representation and more in Transformers, because I know we talked about last time in episode 2 with the gay couple that Twitch and that Thrash and Mo see, but the fact that Dot, one of the main characters of our show, has a prosthetic leg, I just think that's such a cool thing to see. And we saw this back in episodes 1 and 2. It doesn't slow Dot down at all. She's not any less capable than any other human on the show just because she has a prosthetic leg. We see her battle all the Arachnamechs with Optimus and Megatron back in episode 2, and the fact that she's able to do it all with a prosthetic leg is awesome. But don't worry though, we will talk about why she has this prosthetic leg and how she lost her leg later on in my review of Transformers EarthSpark Season 1. But just in case any of you are probably wondering, as I have this picture on screen, oh, why does Dot have a prosthetic leg? Yeah, we're gonna talk about that later, so I'll go let past Autobot Sonic talk about this. So at this point, he goes out of the barn to go meet up with all of the Terrans and the Maltos, where they stop Twitch, they rescue Twitch from like this batch of like rubble from all the fences she destroyed, when she reveals that all the cows are running out of the homestead towards a railroad where they're gonna get run over by an incoming train. So they're freaking out about how they're gonna stop this when B gets the idea to have Twitch and Thrash transform and herd all the cows back to the barn for Robbie and Mo and B to put away. But of course, Twitch and Thrash still don't know how to transform, so basically Bumblebee explains that the way he and most other Autobots have gone to transform is just that they just picture them wanting to transform into their ult mode, but that doesn't work for Twitch and Thrash. So instead, it's Robbie and Mo who say this about how they get Twitch and Thrash to transform. Essentially, it's that through their cyberspace connection, they feel that whenever Twitch and Thrash do transform, that's where Twitch and Thrash feel is safest. So they just need to think about being somewhere they feel is safe to transform, and with that realization, B finally gets that and tries to convince Twitch and Thrash to focus on those feelings instead of just being forced into that form like he was been trying to get them to do this whole episode, and that works to get Twitch and Thrash to actually transform and successfully herd all the cows back to the barn where Robbie, Mo, and B are able to put them all together. However, one cow with just fluffy ears still isn't out there, and she ends up getting stuck on with one of her legs getting stuck on the railroad tracks. So Twitch goes to try and push Fluffy Ears off the train tracks, and she actually succeeds in freeing Fluffy Ears, who gets back with other cows. In the process, though, Twitch transforms back in and gets her foot stuck in the railroad tracks, and she can't bring herself to transform because she's panicking in the process, even though the train's still quite a distance away. So B heads out to go and stop the train and get Twitch off it. But here's something that really, really saves the episode in my opinion, because if it wasn't for this scene, I probably would have given it a 7.5 out of 10, but this gives it like an extra point, because I'm so proud of the EarthSpark writers for doing this. And it's basically, Robbie and Mo offer to go with B to save Twitch. However, Bumblebee says not to. Instead, he doesn't say though because, oh, you'll just get in the way or it's too dangerous. No, the way he says why he wants Robbie and Mo to stay is because they need to send positive, reassuring thoughts to Twitch through their cybersleep connection to help calm her and make sure she's able to transform. That, I feel like, speaks volumes of just how much now B understands the connection between Robbie, Mo, Twitch, and Thrash. I just think that just shows so much more of how far B has come in terms of understanding the Terrans and the Maltos now on a much more deeper level, and really understands just what they have is special. So B goes off on his own to try and stop the train, Spider-Man 2 style, by jumping in front of the train to stop it, but even when he realizes that that train is actually being automatically driven, that's not going to stop it. So instead, he just drives ahead of the train to where Twitch is still struggling to get herself free from the train tracks. And while she's freaking out, though, B calms her down, and with the positive, reassuring thoughts that Robbie and Mo send to her through their cybersleep connection, Twitch is able to transform and get off the tracks before the train comes and runs her over. After that, the episode ends with Twitch and Thrash thanking Bee for finally understanding him and agreeing to let him be their mentor, and they all just go back to the farm, which has been repaired for another round of family game night, and this saves the episode in my opinion. Otherwise, it would have been probably a 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10, but I really did like the ending, and it did save it from the otherwise not so good family game night scene. And so that was my review of Transformers EarthSpark Season 1, Episode 3, Moving In. If I had to rate this episode, I would probably give it an 8 or 8.5 out of 10. Definitely a great introduction to Bumblebee's character. I love how it sets up his character and personality. I think Danny Pudi does a great job of voicing him, both in more humorous moments, but also moments where he's really angry and just frustrated as well. Danny Pudi does an absolutely great job as Bumblebee. Also, shoutouts to Catherine Kovari, who does a great job as Twitch, too. And even Benny Latham and John Briones as Alex, as Dot and Alex, who I think are the stars of this episode, in my opinion. The only con, though, as I said as well, it just paints B as the good guy, in the right in this episode, which I really don't think he is. And that's okay. It's okay with him to be in the wrong. I just wish the show that he's in the wrong instead of just saying, oh no, he's in the right here. But other than that, though, it was a good episode. Definitely not as strong as the other two, but still a good, solid episode in my opinion. That's going to be it for this review. I'll be back soon with Episode 4, House Rules. If you like this review, be sure to like, comment, and of course subscribe, and I will see you guys later.